It's Tuesday, December 23rd. Welcome to Scouting the League. As we get closer to Christmas, this clock winds down a little bit for us here on Scouting the League. Episode today talking about situational awareness on and off the field before we get into a quick episode tomorrow before we take a couple days off here on Scouting the League as we enjoy time with our family, with our friends here as we celebrate the birth of Christ. But before we do that, we will be getting into all things situational awareness, why it matters, how it's affecting the scouting game, how it is still affecting games at the NFL level, and what you should be doing at every level to make sure you are on it. But before we jump in, make sure you head over, like, subscribe, and share this podcast wherever you are listening and watching, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or that video portion over on YouTube. Make sure you're hitting those buttons. Most importantly, share it with a friend as we have continued to see our viewership, our listeners go up in 2025. We want to keep that momentum going into 2026. The best way to help us out with that is share this one with a friend. Again, going to be some really good stuff, some practical stuff. Something we always try to do here on Scouting the League is not just bring an issue to the forefront, but talk about, hey, what could be done? What should you be doing, again, if you are in one of these situations to help with your situational awareness. So make sure you listen, make sure you share it with a friend, do all those things. I am Rodrik David at Right Step ADV is where you can follow me. My website, rsafootball.com, is where you can find more information as well as get in touch. Find out all that I do, from reports to pre-draft interview training to working with teams, players, coaches, agents, scouts, and aspiring scouts in the football world, doing a little bit of everything I can to help those that have questions about what that next right step is. So make sure you go hit those buttons. While you're over there, check out thescoutingcommunity.com for scouts and aspiring scouts, two different groups exclusive for each of those categories. If you're an NFL scout, you need to join. Go check it out. Click through some of those buttons. Hit me up. Ask me more questions as we continue to grow and try and be the unofficial union for NFL scouts, as the time is coming where I think there is going to need to be a little bit of togetherness in the scouting world. We are trying to do that. I am trying to do that, spearhead that. Let me take the arrows for you, as it will be completely anonymous. Keep your identity protected. Don't ever let that get in the way. So scouts, go check it out, thescoutingcommunity.com. And on the other side, aspiring scouts, this is a good episode for you, but also go check out thescoutingcommunity.com. Take the steps you need to be doing now to make sure you are set up in the future to be in an office. I can promise you it is not going to be going and paying a bunch of money for a certificate that ultimately does not matter. It's going to be about networking. It's about doing the right things and making sure you're in the right spot when the time comes to land that first job. So go check it out at thescoutingcommunity.com. And make sure while you're there, you check out our partners over at bluemaca.com. Stuart Jenkins, innovating that insole world. Don't just get a pair of nice shoes and leave that insole in there. Put the Blue Maca insoles in there, non-slip, carbon fiber, split toe for that turf toe, or those recovery insoles. Whatever shoe you're wearing, upgrade the shoes with these nice Blue Maca insoles. Use code SCOUTING20 at checkout to let them know we sent you. Get a little discount on that order as well. Up your game. Agents, it should be a part of every order for your 2026 draft athletes. By sliding that non-slip insole, your performance will improve. There we go. So go check it out, bluemaca.com. Use code SCOUTING20. As we get in today, it shows up every week. Again, it was a notable thing this weekend, as always, as well. Situational awareness. Again, that is on the field, in game, game management. You can call it a lot of different things. Again, situational, game awareness, clock management, all those things matter. Again, I think about the Bears game. Yeah, the Bears came out ahead again, thanks to a couple miscues by the Packers. Again, Romeo Dubes, I believe, had that ball in his hands on the onside kick. You got to finish that one. You got to finish a few plays that they have the opportunity. But you go back before that, the fact that the Bears did not kick the field goal until after the 2-minute warning, I thought was really going to come back and bite them in the hindquarters. That is a situational awareness. You've got to get that ball kicked well before the 2-minute warning. That way you can still kick off. You can still get that timeout with the 2-minute warning that, again, about 20 seconds ran off the clock to get that field goal unit out there. I thought was a huge missed opportunity to show that clock management. Again, an opportunity where Ben Johnson, I thought, fell short. Now, again, they came out in front. Again, Packers miscues the way it all ended up with the backup quarterback. But again, you take that's part of what scouting is. You take the situation and forget the results. Let's look at the situation, see if it was handled right. Again, I think about the Dan Lanning's comments in the Oregon game. Again, that wasn't up to Oregon standards after you thumped a good opponent. But again, you think about who your opponent is and what you need to do. I think the biggest thing Dan Lanning may have been disappointed with, again, this is me reading into it from that coaching background, that coaching perspective. There were things that, again, Oregon, yeah, you want to be aggressive, you want to be tough, but that your opponent is going to be doing some things to probably try to take advantage of your trick plays. Again, we saw a couple of them pop up. You've got to stay on your P's and Q's in games like that. That, to me, was a big situational awareness thing where, hey, in this game, we've got to, if we just play assignment football, we're going to be just fine. Trying to do too much, highlight college football playoff. Some Oregon players got caught a little bit. Again, when you start talking about what Dan Lanning's talking about, that to me, again, kind of, showed its head a little bit in the Oregon game. Again, Lions, how to run a pick play. You've got to know how to run that. You've got to show some situational awareness. You can't just go shoulder down into that play. You've got to, just post up, make it look like you're trying to, catch a route right there. Everybody knows it's not going to happen. Game's over. Lions win if you don't run that pick and just put your shoulder down and try to truck that guy. So again, situational awareness on the field always pops up, but it is certainly something that I would say aspiring scouts and young scouts in buildings have to keep in mind as well. There are times where situational awareness is going to be the difference between getting a text or a phone call back and getting put on the opposite list where, hey, I'm going to block this call, or when I see this number pop up, this name pop up, I'm no longer going to take you seriously. You have to know when that time is right to contact, what to say or what not to say. Again, aspiring scouts, as you're working your network, you're working your relationships, goes for agents as well. When you're trying to develop some rapport with area scouts, regional, national scouts, there is a time to contact. There's a time to talk about different things. That situational awareness really matters. For young scouts in buildings, I remember times where there is a time, a right time, a wrong time, and a time to just pick your battles when it comes to, hey, trying to sign a guy. We want to draft a guy. We want this guy to stay on the back end of our board, or, hey, he should be a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. We should stay with my grade, not their grade. There's a time to pick your battle. There's a time to fight for a player, but not every situation calls for that. Sometimes you just got, hey, I acknowledge I like this player more than maybe the consensus, more than what we like in this room. I think he's a better player than that, but this is not the battle I'm going to fight right now. Again, there's lots of different reasons. I remember lots of different times when I was sitting in draft meetings with the Atlanta Falcons. And again, this is a player I'm going to fight for. Yes, I'm not backing down on this one. There were those times where it's like, yeah, this player is not worth fighting for whatever reason, whatever situation the team was in at that time, wherever the board was at that point. Again, there's a time to fight. There's a time to not fight, all that kind of stuff. So situational awareness, again, there's a way to do it. Again, some of that comes just with, again, having a maturity, having an understanding. There's some people that are just more natural at it than not, but there are ways to gain it. One of them is just be around ball in a very present and mindful way. And no, this does not mean playing a bunch of Madden football, which I've heard the argument over and over. Oh, that's why I play. Again, it's about thinking through the game. It's like, no, again, clock management in Madden is not the same. It's not even close to what actually happens in the real world, what happens in games, what happens on the field. It's not casually watching football either. Again, sitting there enjoying the game. Yes, you're going to enjoy it, but at a certain time, you've got to start thinking like a coach, thinking through, hey, this game situation, this is what the opponent looks like on the other side. This is that battle that they're going to be faced. Oh, in 5 minutes, it could look like this. 10 minutes, it could look like this. This is where analytics have really taken a good role, but sometimes have maybe not overstepped maybe gotten a little bit too aggressive where I'm going to leave all that to my analytics team and they're going to tell me what to do. If that's the case, you're always going to be a little bit behind. You should be asking several minutes before, hey, if this happens, what does it look like? If this happens, what it looks like. Some teams are doing that better than others. I think it usually shows up. Some coaches, again, I think Sean Payton may be the best in the NFL at this. Obviously, Andy Reid's a really good one at this. Again, thinking 4, 5, 6 minutes ahead, you set up the end of the game well before the end of the game comes. On the college level, it's something that has gotten worse over time. Maybe it'll get a little bit better with the headset communication, but you see the constant look to the sideline. That is a big part of the scouting process is, hey, can this quarterback manage the game without having the head coach in his ear or signaling exactly what to do? I want to see a quarterback take control at the line of scrimmage, end of game situation, on the sidelines, talking to the team. Scouts are going to notice that kind of stuff. That's the kind of scouting that happens in person at practices, not just sitting on an iPad or sitting at home watching cut-ups of whatever. You've got to watch, get a feel for how is this quarterback managing situations? How does the running back, the wide receiver, O-line understand situations? When I can, when I need to sprint that ball back, when I can flip the ball to the ref, when I can toss, all those things, when I can get down on the sideline, when I should fight for yardage, when I should try to pick up some extra yardage, or do I need to get out of bounds? All that stuff has to be practiced, has to be ingrained. It has to be in practice situations. It has to be in the meeting room with video. There should be a lot of it even before young athletes get to college, which again is less and less common as more and more it seems like these kids are less around football. Again, it's all about camps. It's all about doing this and that. Hey, just be around ball. Be around the game. I remember in my journey, I was a ball boy for my dad and our high school football team out in Burlington, Colorado, from the time I was about 6th or 7th grade, probably 6 or 7 years old, more likely, when I could pick up a football and understand when an official was going to need a ball down the line of scrimmage. Again, high school, yeah, it's pretty easy. They're going to keep one ball in play for most of the game if there's a pass, which again, at Burlington, there was maybe 10 to 15 a game, so you weren't getting that many balls to flip it in there. But again, being around that, seeing this situation, sitting in coaches' meeting rooms, yeah, I had the opportunity to do that. Not everybody does, so you have to find ways where you can do that. Listen to coaches, listen to teach tape, listen to seminars, all that kind of stuff. You got to think about and do it intentionally. I think back to the early Ram and Jared Goff days when Sean McVay, you could really see was in Jared Goff's ear. That LA Rams team that we, with the Falcons, beat in the playoffs back in 2017, that was a team where the Rams were going to hurry up, get on the line of scrimmage, get a play call, get set, and then try to have any adjustments prior to that 15-second radio communication being cut off with the quarterback's helmet. They were consistently snapping the ball between 10 and 15 seconds because everything was going to be set from the head coach, from the sideline into Jared Goff. Again, as that time went on with Jared Goff, you could see it loosen up a little bit. But again, I think there was always that limit of what Jared Goff was comfortable doing or what Sean McVay was comfortable asking Jared Goff to do. Obviously, with Matt Stafford, a seasoned veteran who had been through all those situations so many times, there was certainly a different level to that offense that Jared Goff ran as opposed to Matt Stafford. You talk about that situational awareness, the way everything was set. There were a lot of times I'm sure Sean McVay needed to be in Jared Goff's ear. And if he was doing the same things to Matt Stafford, Matt would probably pull that earplug out of there and be like, hey, I don't need all this. Teams have data, team have analytics, but at the end of the day, the people on the field, scouts evaluating, coaches coaching, players playing, have to be ahead of all that kind of stuff. Getting the job for scouts and aspiring scouts is a lot of that same stuff. Being ahead of the game, having a situational awareness, having some comfort in whatever you are doing to set yourself up in the right spot. As I said in the open, again, it's not about having a certificate. It's about anticipating, where do I need to be? Who do I need to be talking about to right now to make sure when that time comes, I am in the right spot. As a scouting assistant, It wasn't about just doing the job and being told what to do. It was about anticipating. It was about trying to figure out those needs well before they were asked for. That way, when the time came, hey, I've already got that work done. I've already anticipated this need. That is all situational awareness. It is going to win and lose games here down the stretch. So make sure you're paying attention, trying to anticipate what should and should not be done. Try putting a game on mute. Again, it is the way I watch football at the pro and the college level. I really am not a fan of 99.9% of announcers. I'm going to listen to something else. I'm going to be talking with people in the room. I'm going to be doing whatever. I do not want the volume on, because a lot of times there is stuff that's either said that's not true, or we'll say exaggerated a little bit. But again, it is a good opportunity to just be quiet, to have some quiet, to think about doing all these. Hey, 6 minutes left. This is our situation. This is what it looks like for the other team. This is what I'd be doing. Watch how it plays out. It's a really good educational lesson. But again, let me know what you think. How are you doing it? How are you getting in on that situational awareness? How are you honing that football intelligence, that football IQ, that game management, clock management, and scouting of all these features? It is a bigger, growing part of a scouting report where it has to be there for certain positions. Bigger emphasis for certain positions. Quarterbacks, absolutely. But who does it best? Who still needs work? Who is going to win and lose college football games? As well, playoff games, bowl games, NFL games as we get down the stretch. It's all part of watching ball, all part of it evaluations. Let me know over at Right Step ADV. If you're doing all this, I'm proud of you. You're scouting.